Hi guys, I'll show you how to prepare the Malaysian Chinese prawn mee at home. It is a street food particularly famous in the northern city Penang of Malaysia. And as the name implies, the noodles broth is made with prawn heads and shells, but it always includes bones, particularly pork bones. But you can always use chicken bones as an alternative should you want to make a pork-free version. Now the first part of this video is about how to prepare the broth. The second part is about how to prepare the ingredients for the prawn mee. Some of these ingredients such as fried shallots and sambal need to prepare in advance, and I have made a separate video for that, which I will include the link in the description below. So let's get started.
Let us start with making the prawn broth, which is the most important part of the recipe. You need plenty of prawn heads and shell, so I suggest you to reserve the head and shells each time you purchase prawns. Clean the prawn heads and shells thoroughly and drain. Then place them in a wok and stir fry over medium heat. The duration of stir frying depends on how dry the heads and shells. Generally, it takes about 10 minutes before the water dries out. Meanwhile, you can add a few dried chilies if you prefer a spicy broth, which is optional. Once the water has evaporated, the color of the shell will change to a beautiful pink color. Continue stir frying until the prawn aroma wafting from the wok and filling up the entire kitchen. Then remove and set aside. Since the shrimp oil might be trapped inside the shrimp heads, I crush the shrimp heads with mortar and pestle to ensure all the flavor is extracted while boiling later. Now let's get back to the other ingredients for the broth, the pork bone. Place the bone in a stock pot. Add sufficient water to submerge the bone entirely. Bring it to a boil. Skim off the scum floating on the surface from time to time. Get ready a piece of pork loin. Place it in the broth and simmer until fully cooked at any time when simmering the bone. The time required depends on the pork loin's thickness, which takes about half an hour to cook thoroughly. If you're unsure, you can use a kitchen thermometer to check the doneness. The pork is thoroughly cooked when the internal temperature reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Cut it into thin slices and set aside. Add some rock sugar to the broth and continue to simmer. You may use regular sugar should rock sugar is unavailable. Continue to simmer the pork bones over low heat for about 3 hours to extract the flavor fully. Now return the crushed shell and the heads to the broth and continue to simmer. You may need to add more water should the broth has reduced too much. Once you add the shrimp heads, the broth will immediately turn red due to the prawn oil. Remove the bone from the broth. Bring it to the boil and then simmer for another 1 hour over low heat. This duration should be enough to extract the flavor as these are crushed shrimp heads. After an hour, remove the shells and the heads and then put it on a wire mesh strainer and press with a spatula to extract as much broth as possible. Then pour the broth through the wire mesh strainer to get a clean broth. Season with some salt. The broth is now ready. It has an unbelievable flavor and is very much concentrated. It is intended to be that way though, as we will add the noodles into the broth to serve. There are a few ingredients to serve along with the noodles. Let's take a look at them one by one. These are the bean sprouts which add crunchiness to the soup noodles. This is kangkong or water spinach. And this is fish cake. I use a store-bought fish cake which is already pre-fried. Remove the fish cake from the refrigerator and let it return to room temperature. Fry the fish cake with a little bit of oil. Cut them into thin slices. You can't have prawn mee without prawn, of course. Place the prawn in the broth to cook until they turn color. Then remove and place them on the noodles before serving. Prawn mee is not complete without hard-boiled eggs. I have a blog post explaining how to prepare the perfect hard-boiled egg, which I will leave the link in the description below the video. We also need fried shallots and chopped scallion. Please refer to my chicken soup noodles video explaining how to fry the shallots in detail. The link is also included in the description below this video. I use two types of noodles in this recipe. This is rice vermicelli, which is also called bihun in Malaysia. Soaking in water until it is fully hydrated and soft, which takes about 20 minutes to half an hour. The second type is the yellow egg noodles, which has a slippery fillings in the mouth. Remove the noodles from the packet, then rinse it thoroughly with plenty of water and drain. Prawn mee is always served hot, so therefore it is always assemble all the ingredients right before serving. Place the kangkong, bean sprouts, yellow egg noodles, and the rice vermicelli in a wire mesh strainer. I have one which is relatively deep, ideal for this purpose. Place the strainer with all the ingredients inside to blanch for about 1.5 minutes. Then drain and pour the vegetables and noodles into the serving bowl. Arrange the cooked prawn, fish cake slices, pork slices, and a hard-boiled egg on top of the noodles. Label the boiling prawn broth into the bowl. Sprinkle the scallion on top to garnish, and the fried shallots. Place the sambal in a soup spoon and serve along with the prawn mee. The sambal is supposed to mix into the soup right before eating.
That's how I prepare the prawn mee, the Malaysian Chinese style street food. If you like this recipe, I have included the recipe in the description below the video. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button and give me a like, which I will notify you whenever I have any new video uploaded. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you again in some other videos in the future, and bye for now.